Here's my episode about love and how love works. And this is why everyone on the planet's not happy to some degree and never will be if they can't have this understanding of if they can't have this basic stuff. Everybody wants love, but there's so many ways that love can be twisted and perverted. But here's the most basic love as it relates to biological imperative. Alright? A man and a woman come together. Alright? And when they do, they create progeny. Alright? Chemicals are released. Those are bonding chemicals. Because the man has the density to protect the woman in a vulnerable state. And then when the offspring is born, the progeny, it's in an even more vulnerable state, as is the mother. Right? So it takes a long time to grow up. So the bigger built male traditionally is designed by design to protect the progeny. And love is in that basic thing. What goes next level? For the generation of progeny, biological imperative to be healthy and sound, has to have a good example being the key word here, of a man and a woman. One, how to be. The other, who to find. Okay? This does equate love, because if you look at everything in the world around you, it's about destruction of the family and destruction of the roles and role models of mothers and fathers. Mother and father should be the main thing that anybody on the planet would want to be. There's nothing else to do down here. There's nothing else to do while we're here, except make more people and bring them here, but make sure it's a nice place for everybody to live. Because otherwise, you know how this works yourself. You're living in it, so am I. Nobody wants to bring people here when it's so scary. Or, it's like scary to bring people here, but like, yeah, we're going to do it. But yeah, what are they going to inherit? Oh, it's weird. That's not what anybody wants. Everybody wants love, and everybody wants to be happy. So what they're trying to create is a society that goes away from the basic stuff of love, where nobody will ever really be happy. So it will be a society filled with stuff and distractions. Whoever's allowed to live in it, whoever's left. But you see what I mean? It's if you want to look at the world stage, like, the main attack is on love and moms and dads. Like, that's the main threat. It's like the bad guy, like, if you want to talk about evil, like, the main attack on evil is an attack on, like, why do they want to go after us so bad? Like, why do they want to go after moms and dads and just men and women that want to create progeny, bring them here and have their progeny breathe clean air and fresh water? Why is there so much propaganda for distraction away from that basic thing? That's why people are so unhappy. Now, granted, I will say this. There are gays and lesbians that get together lifelong and buy real estate and pick a piece of the planet and raise progeny and all that stuff. I'm not even talking about that, because they do the same basic thing that everybody else does. They get a, you know what I mean? Like, they get a home, they have the kids, they do all that stuff. So love, it's like people are never happy because you have, everything is predicated on what I said about a man and a woman coming together. It really, really, really is. Because think about everything else that's been put in everybody's head about what life is supposed to be, or what your options are, or what matters, what meaningless plastic goals you could achieve that don't matter. I'm going to climb this mountain, I'm going to fill this coloring book, I'm going to do all these things that don't matter that you could do are a waste of your life. The most basic stuff of life is meeting somebody at its most basic level of the opposite sex, gender, meeting them to come together for purposes of finding a piece of this planet, deciding whether it's safe, and when the coast is clear, when it's safe enough for long enough, to bring somebody here, right? So that they will grow up, so that and have as many progeny as you can. Well, there'll be a lot of us out there, right? It's basic. It's basic, basic, basic. If you want to get cold, everybody likes to say, because everybody that hates me likes to say, because science, that kind of thing, and throw science, right? And say that I go after a Christian bent or whatever. I'm not even doing that. I'm saying basic stuff. Man and a woman coming together, progeny, safe space. The whole world peace picture looks like this. People coming together to raise progeny, to parent, to raise the next generation. It's the most important thing. All the propaganda you have is saying, don't need moms and dads. The system, the propaganda, will all, like the group, the collective, will all watch each other, will all through Facebook, we'll all police each other, we'll all watch each other, not Brave New World, Scanner Darkly, we'll all police each other, we'll all watch each other, and that will parent. But it's like, who's deciding what all the rules are? It's out of the hands of moms or dads, or what they would decide. Let's agree not to hit kids and fuck kids or eat them. Let's agree about that. Let's agree not to abuse them and all that stuff. And let's agree that the village and the neighbors around will say, you're not going to do that to your kids, and wise up and straighten out. That's how it used to be. But that's not what is happening in the world that we live in, right? And you know this if you watch enough of my episodes. So that's how I got to come on an episode of love. Love is basic. You want to parent, okay? Like, you're going to get old and tell younger people stuff, even if you never had kids. You're going to get old and you're going to drop knowledge on somebody younger than you at some point. You're going to feel the need to parent. So what do you have? Like, you have the generations separated, you know, like in a lot of ways in bad. Like, take old people, put them in nursing homes, don't take care of your, like, make nursing homes exist. So instead of people taking care of their parents, don't worry, there'll be these places where you don't have to deal with that, and we'll just dope them up and you come visit them and don't deal with how they failed you or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, but that's the time when the old parents get to tell the young people, I see what you're doing, you know how I did to you. That stuff's not supposed to happen, and you're not supposed to hear it. The older people are always supposed to talk to the young people, not fuck them. But that's not what you're getting. You're getting the opposite. You're getting old people and young people shouldn't talk to each other. It's like everybody's saying more fucking, less talking, and no love. But everybody's talking, but they're saying nothing, talking about things that don't matter. Life is so basic. You came here. If you want to subvert all this stuff that they use, like, to be gods among earth, that's very Luciferian, like, you're the creator, you're the gods on earth. No, we're created in the image and likeness of our creator, but we're not supposed to think of ourselves as the concept of God, or as gods or as goddesses on this planet. We're pretty powerful stuff, right? If they don't want us to do our most basic thing, if there's a whole bunch of rich weirdos that try to subvert it I'm going off on a tangent now. I want this to be short. Let's get back on track about love. It's the most basic thing. There's not a lot to do down here. Your birthright was supposed to be a piece of this place, and you're supposed to have a good example of a man and a good example of a woman. One how to be, one who to be, right? And then there would be people around you that you would decide you'd be somebody different because of whoever those people were that grew up around you, right? But people have this ability, innate, figure that, to self-govern. Oh, we're not going to go along with this. Oh, we're not going to go along with that. We're made to be that from the basic family unit. So what you have is you have one family, a man and woman coming together to create a progeny, bring somebody here, and a whole bunch of people around them. All right? That's your fucking neighborhood, okay? Everybody wants to go to bed, and not, like they say in the olden days, we never locked our doors, we left the windows open in the summer. Nobody was worried about stealing our Lindbergh baby, none of these things, right? That was the olden days, all right? Love and bonds, those chemical bonds were more stronger. Now we get our chemical bonds from all over the place, and love is messed up. And I've seen, I'm in a war zone epidemic of, you know, on one layer of the war, where the family's just being destroyed by prescription meds because people are depressed and they go to doctors and the doctors give them the meds for depression, and they are fucked forever because the meds don't help, and when they get off they can't, and when they try to, their bodies are just scrambled. So how does this apply to love? I can't talk about love without talking about the most basic thing. It's people coming together to parent, to raise the next generation. So there always has to be examples of good, like strong examples of men and women. What we have now is it's like everybody's just saying, well, man and woman could be whatever we decide that it is. And that doesn't shape a generation of people that can take care of themselves or anything else, or raise another generation. What it raises is, can you see this? What it raises is a generation of people that just wholly have to be managed, and eventually will just be played with and like Hunger Games. Like, look at Hunger Games that way. It makes Hunger Games a sick thing. I mean, not only are they serving our kids to pay tribute now, they're actually doing it. Kids are sacrificed all the time, for real, right? Just with the way that we live, and do whatever you want with Pizzagate or whatever. But I'm not even gonna talk about that shit in this episode. But like Hunger Games, it's like the future as well. Everybody's super poor, that they're living like slaves begging for handouts. And what do they got to do? Give up their youngest, best, and brightest. We got to get rid of Jennifer, whatever her name is, Aniston? No. Anyway, but you want love. It's what everybody wants, and they know. Like the people in charge, like advertisers understand love and tools and get to moms through advertising and stuff like that. But at its most basic core, like it's natural for everyone to want to parent. Think about weird pet people. Think about you if you're weird with your pets. I'm gonna talk about fucking them. I'm just talking about like pets, like going overboard, going too far. Rich people with their pets that don't have kids. You know, all the celebrity ladies with their dogs. All the ladies that didn't have kids that adopted them. Like everybody wants to parent, even if they shouldn't at some point, one way or another. And then some people don't parent. Will be like the party person. Like they'll be like the party house or whatever. It's like, come over, we'll have the weirdos Thanksgiving for everybody doesn't have a place to go. Oddfellows Thanksgiving every year because they never had kids, which is fine. I'm not saying these people shouldn't exist, but I'm saying like you have to look at your worldview from now on, from this point. If you're interested in love, which is the glue that keeps this planet spinning, it has to be. If glue isn't the thing that keeps this planet going, it'd already be game over. I wouldn't even be doing this YouTube, right? You wouldn't even be fighting. But the thing is, in everybody's life, they're irritated and itchy because somehow, well, love is off. It's the thing. And as long as love is off, it's always okay with the powers that be. You can go to a comedy show and you can say, George Carlin could say horrible stuff at a comedy show about the powers that be, but it's okay as long as you go home feeling like you laughed, but you still feel hopeless, helpless, and apathetic, and maybe it made you think about stuff you didn't think about before, but you still feel bad about it, like you can't do anything. But feel good about love. Alright, I'm not saying hope or whatever, but love is definitely very important. Alright, even if you want to get cold and say because science, it's what they use to manipulate. And we need, if you want love to work for you, think monogamy, think don't sleep around, think do you want to bring somebody here, and if you do, what are you going to do in your own little way to make the world a little bit better? It's a weird mindset, but I think it should help dudes. Dudes, think about this. Even if it's just like, you know, like getting a piece, like how to make the world a little bit better. I instead of wasting all my money on video games and shit, like I saved money and bought a house or I bought a piece of land, then I put a trailer on it, or I bought a piece, you know what I mean? Just think of like getting a piece of the planet. It needs to be propagandized. If you want to understand about love, I think you need to understand that we need to live in a world where we need to start propagandizing the idea of like, you're from here, I keep saying it, like you're from here, you should have a piece of the planet, and what are you going to do with that piece of the planet? Well, probably you're going to want to share it with somebody else because it's just boring to be alone. So maybe be alone to start. But it needs to be this thing to infect a generation of like, I want a piece of the planet, they can't keep me from it, and when I get there, I want to make it like my own little Garden of Eden where I grow food. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to take care of all my own stuff. I want to do permaculture, I want to do that. That's like a recipe for love, I think. What are you supposed to do? All these meaningless goals, more shows and sitcoms. Why is there never just a movie that's like a fantasia of a beautiful, bright future? There isn't a single fucking one. And don't give me that The Green Beautiful. I hate that fucking movie. That's not any future I want to live in. That's some Echo Village bullshit like they tell you it is that doesn't work. It's a weird French film if you don't know what it is. But anyway, why is there no movie that's just like an hour and a half Fantasia with all the latest, greatest special effects that just shows like fucking Agrarian Eden simulation, nature specialist says, here's how we solved all the problems, that doesn't involve like fucking Richard Dawkins saying we should eat kids. I mean, I'm sorry, what the fuck am I talking about? Talking about eating human flesh. So hard to do this about love. It's basic. It's basic. It's the thing, like if you look at like what are all the main attacks focused on? Everything is about destroying it, like pew 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 pew. Every attack, why you don't like your movies, you know, like what's going on with like all the guys are cucked out or all this stuff. I'll tell you what it's about. It's destroying masculinity. These basic things. It's how you control people. I said all this already. You gotta, what's your mountain to fight on? It's the actual planet. It's an actual fight for the physical space. You have to say, hey, wait a minute. We know that there's enough of this for all of us. And if you ever want to have love, if you ever, whoever you are seeking somebody else, you're gonna have to recognize that there's not a lot to do here. The most basic drives are people finding someplace safe to live, safe enough to bring somebody here, and then them growing up and then bringing in more people here and all that. And if your womb doesn't work, then you take somebody else's progeny and raise them properly to ensure the next generation comes here. And we need examples and role models. And we know that the role models we have from sports and movies and TV and politics and science are fucked, because they all know each other and they all do bad stuff to us, and they lie to us, and they're all fucking liars, and everything they participate in and make is just garbage propaganda that's against love and against men and women and the family, and it's against the idea of men and women coming. It's the biggest, it's the only fucking thing. Like, they're totally against love. How are they coming at it from every fucking angle for the most basic thing? Because there's nothing else to do here. There's people coming together to find a piece of this planet and hopefully live safely with neighbors and shit like that, and have different ways, and then maybe the traveling comes from that. Oh, isn't it neat? That's what your world peace looks like. It's families, and they don't want it. Who's the they? You know what this is. You listen to enough of my things. So anyway, I don't have anything else to say about it. It's too long. It's been way shorter for this. Man, that's it.